my name is Nishat Noor and welcome to Millennium Headlines. This week's top headlines are: Trump sent letters at NATO allies demanding increased defense spending. President Donald Trump sent letters to the leaders of NATO allies, including Germany, Belgium, Norway, and Canada, demanding that they increase their defense spending and threatening to alter the U.S. global military presence if they do not, according to a report in the New York Times on Monday. The letters were sent last month, according to the Times, before a NATO summit in Brussels, Belgium next week. A source familiar with the letters confirms their existence to CNN but did not confirm the language in them. A separate diplomatic source briefed on the letters described them as very tough and said they requested more defense spending and warned the U.S. was losing patience. According to the Times, many of the letters to the various leaders included similar language, but Trump's letter to German Chancellor Angela Merkel was particularly critical. As we discussed during your visit in April, there's a growing frustration in the U.S. that some allies have not stepped up as promised. The letter to Merkel read, which cited a source who had seen it and sent accepts. The letters fit a pattern of Trump critiques of NATO, particularly of defense spending by other NATO members. NATO members committed to spend 2% of their gross domestic product of national defense at 2014 summit in Wales, and Trump has repeatedly bemoaned that NATO allies have not fulfilled this commitment. At the time, Trump did not reiterate the U.S. commitment to NATO's mutual defense provision, Article 5. He committed to Article 5 at a news conference that June, however. Trump also previously referred to NATO as obsolete, although he later reversed that position. Soccer team found alive after 9 days as trapped in cave. Rescue teams have found all 12 boys and their soccer coach alive in a cave in Thailand 9 days after the group went missing. The boys, between 11 and 16 years old, are all members of the Wild Boar soccer team, entered the Tham Long Nang Non cave system on Saturday, June 23rd for a team outing, but became stranded in the dark tunnels by a sudden and continuous downpour. The international rescue operation, which includes the Thai Navy, SEALs, as well as experts from the US, China, Australia, and the UK, had been working to reach a large, deep chamber informally known as Pattaya Beach, where the missing boys were believed to have taken refuge. I confirm they are all safe, the governor of the local region, Chiang Rai, told reporters on Monday night. The rescues had rescued Pattaya Beach and found it was flooded. The Thai Navy SEAL divers continued a further 300 to 400 meters where they located the team. The Thai Navy released a video on Facebook apparently showing the moment the group was found. In the almost 5-minute clip, the boys are illuminated by torchlight while the diver can be heard speaking to them. How many of you, one of the rescuers call out in English before a faint 13 is heard in response. Amid the emotional discovery, the governor warned that the mission is not done yet, and the medical team needs to enter the cave network to access the boys. We will drain all the water out from the cave, then we will need to take all 13 people out of the cave. We are now planning how to send a nurse and doctor inside the cave to check their health and momentum. We will work all night. Additional divers will accompany the doctor and nurse, Captain Akhand and commander with the Royal Thai Navy, said in a news release. Rescuers will also pump air into the cave to improve conditions, according to Sarawak. Sarawak said another phase of the operation involves supplying the team with 4 months' worth of food and teaching the boys how to dive. replace ICE with something that reflects our morality. Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren on Saturday called for U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement to be replaced with an agency that reflects America's morality and that works, joining the growing chorus of Democrats who have called for the agency to be scrapped. The president's deeply immoral actions have made it obvious we need to rebuild our immigration system from top to bottom, starting by replacing ICE with something that reflects our morality and that works. Warren said at an immigration protest against family separations in Boston, Massachusetts, which was among hundreds of marches, protests, and rallies taking place across the nation Saturday. President Trump seems to think the only way to have immigration rules is to rip parents from their families, is to treat rape victims and refugees like terrorists, and to put children in cages. Warren told the large crowd of protesters who gathered outside Boston City Hall Plaza, who offered words of encouragement to ICE employees early Saturday morning, telling them to not worry or lose their spirit and that there's zero chance the agency would be abolished. You are doing a fantastic job of keeping us safe by eradicating the worst criminals elements. So brave. The radical left Dems want you out. Next it will be all the police. Zero chance it will never happen. AntMan and the Wasp is fun. It doesn't have much bite. Tilted in a big way toward comedy, AntMan and the Wasp offers Marvel an opportunity to show off its lighter side after the operatic grandeur of Avengers Infinity War and Black Panther. It is also on most levels less appealing than its predecessor, a generally fun movie that doesn't possess much bite. The first Ant-Man worked extremely well as an origin story, layering and humanizing the mythology of having a reluctant new hero, Scott Lang, played by Paul Rudd, pick up the mantle from the originator of the supersuit, Hank Pym. As the title advertises, the second film pairs Scott after explaining his absence from Infinity War and the fallout from Captain America's Civil War, the Pym's daughter, Hope, who was her own microtech outfit with a few upgrades, including wings and string-like blasters. The gist of the plot involves Hank realizing that Scott's daring leap into the quantum realm in the first movie might hold the key to finding and freeing his long-lost wife, Janet, who disappeared into the decades earlier. Their efforts, however, attract the attention of a mysterious figure known as Ghost, who can phase into and out of solid state that is intent on acquiring the technology for her own purposes. Perhaps inevitably, the novelty of the action sequences, that ability to grow and shrink at will, has lost some of its freshness compared to the Ant-Man's previous outings. While fight scenes are plentiful, there's nothing here that approaches the character's face-off with the Falcon in the first movie or the giant-sized contribution to the Civil War. Nor does multiplying those powers times two brings much to it, although Lily makes a fine addition to Marvel's stable of heroes, even if she's felt alternatively staring into Scott's eyes then rolling them at his silly antics a bit too often. Marvel has demonstrated its ability to tell a wide variety of stories featuring its characters, including its expansion into television, and as noted, there is something to be said for doing what amounts to a smaller boned version of a superhero movie, without tons of cameos and crossovers. On that level, Ant-Man and the Wasp works well enough. Instagram stories is twice as popular as Snapchat. The company owned by Facebook announced on Thursday that more than 400 million people use the popular feature each day, up from 250 million 1 year ago. That makes stories more than twice as popular as Snapchat, which saw 191 million active users in the last quarter, according to the most recent earnings report from parent company Snap. When Instagram launched Stories in 2016, many saw it as a clone of the Snapchat. In addition to sharing photos and videos that disappear after 24 hours, Stories lets users add Snapchat-like filters that add things like flower crowns and bunny ears to post. And it didn't take long for Snapchat's lead over Facebook to disappear. Within 8 months, Instagram Stories surpassed Snapchat's daily activity user account. Instagram continues adding features such the availability to add GIFs and mention friends and posts. Not to be outdone, Snapchat added those features too. 275 lost lives in custody, extrajudicial killings in 6 months. Some 275 people were killed in incidents of gunfight and crossfire with law enforcers and in custody of law enforcement agencies or being shot by law enforcers from 1st January to June 30th this year. In its reports published on Saturday, the rights body also said 427 women were raped across the country during the period, and it urged the government to uphold and ensure human rights. Meanwhile, on the border, 3 were killed to torture by Indian Border Security Force, 9 were injured, and 8 were abducted, according to the report. It said the overall human rights situation in Bangladesh remained at an alarming level in the first 6 months of 2018 due to sharp rise in the cases of extrajudicial killings and custodial deaths. The number of cases of rapes and sexual assaults on women also marked a rise. The rights body prepared the report based on information published in national dailies in addition to its own findings. Among the 275 victims of extrajudicial killings, 176 were killed in between 15th of May and 30th in June in gunfights and law enforcers amid the anti-narcotics drive that began on the 4th of May. So far, 66 people were killed in incidents of crossfire with RAB, 141 with police and 31 with DB police, and 1 with naval police, the report revealed. A total of 18 bullets hit bodies were recovered, while 1 reportedly committed suicide in prison and 5 died in police custody after falling sick during a period, the report added. A total of 427 women were raped across the country. Also, 58 women fell victims to sexual assaults and 3 of them committed suicide, with rape attempts were made on 57 and 1 of them committed suicide later. Thank you for watching Millennium Headlines. This has been Nishat Noor, and see you next week.